Hi, I'm Anika Viswesh. I'm excited to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Elizabeth Ofili, at the African Science Buskers Festival. Professor Ofili is a professor of medicine, cardiology at the Morehouse School of Medicine in Atlanta, Georgia. She has received over 50 national awards for leadership, scientific research excellence, mentoring, and health policy, including changing the face of medicine. The Rise of America's Women Physicians. Exhibit at the National Library of Medicine. She is an elected member of the Association of University Cardiologists and was inducted into the National Academy of Medicine on October 15, 2016. Election to the National Academy is considered one of the highest honors in the fields of health and medicine and recognizes individuals who have demonstrated outstanding professional achievement and commitment to service. Professor Ofili is the founder and chief scientific officer of the Chief Gregory and Chief Felicia Ofili Foundation. She will talk about the CGFO Foundation later in her presentation. Professor Ofili is also the founder and the chief medical officer of AccuHealth Technologies, Inc., which has patented technologies such as Health 360 times patient engagement and the health coaching platform. As a practicing cardiologist, Dr. Ofili has learned that empowering patients in their healthcare journey is transformative. Please welcome Dr. Elizabeth Ofili.
Thank you so much. And I want to thank you, Anika, for that wonderful introduction. And also thank you to Mr. Knowledge and the organizers of this important festival. I really appreciate the opportunity to address the broader community today. The topic of my discussion, CGFO Foundation Technology Hub, Empowering Girls Science Education in Rural Nigeria, is work that we began back in 2012 to honor the lifelong work and legacy of both of my parents, Chief Gregory and Chief Mrs. Felicia Ofili. What I would like to do is share with you during the first part of this discussion, my own journey and in terms of my role as a cardiologist, as well as a clinician scientist, practicing medicine in the United States, and a professor at Morehouse School of Medicine, as you heard. So in general, I am sharing here essentially the image of a heart in a little bit of detail. As you can see, the heart obviously has a big deal of work to do in terms of working hard with so many beats a minute, between 60 and 90, to circulate blood around the entire body. The heart itself also is a delicate organ in the sense that as powerful as it is in working to deliver blood to the entire body, it is also very prone to different kinds of injuries, such as exhaustion from just putting too much pressure, like high blood pressure on it, blockages to these small arteries, as you can see here. There are arteries that surround the heart that also help the heart work well. And also the valves, which are these windows inside the heart that help direct the blood around the heart. These valves can become damaged and can either close and narrow or be leaking. So all of these different activities where the heart muscle is weak or the blood vessels themselves are affected or the valves have disease is essentially a big part of what my job is as a cardiologist, really working with patients to understand what's going on. Sometimes these conditions patients are born with, and so they may present earlier on, or sometimes because they have not had access to healthcare, they may not know they have a problem until they actually start feeling short of breath, and then somebody listens to their heart and says something is not right. I hear extra beats, or the blood flow doesn't seem to be going in the proper direction. So these examinations that you can conduct with a stethoscope has to be significantly enhanced by what we call imaging studies. The one that I work mostly with is called an echocardiogram or ultrasound image of the heart, which essentially gives significant information similar to what you're looking at here in terms of the heart muscle, the heart valves, and is the heart working well or not. So obviously, my journey began back when I was in medical school. I became interested in the heart because I felt that the heart is something that when there's a problem, if you recognize it early enough, you can make a big difference and keep people from a heart attack or help them recover if they've had a heart attack. So I became what you would call a preventive cardiologist because I spend a lot of my time trying to figure out how can we prevent people from having these heart problems. The first big one that actually happens to Africans, African Americans, Blacks everywhere is what we call high blood pressure. It obviously happens to many people around the world, but it's particularly devastating for Blacks because it causes a lot of problems such as strokes, heart failure, and a lot of problems with heart damage. High blood pressure can be prevented, so I spend a lot of my time trying to talk to my patients, trying to talk to the community at large about what to do to be active, exercising, physical activity, as well as preventing diabetes, try not to be obese or overweight as a way to reduce your risk of heart disease. On this slide, I'm showing that I also do research, and some of the research that I've done has been in the laboratory, but a good bit of research that I do now is at the bedside, where I work with patients to figure out what's going on and use that information to support future treatments and therapies to prevent heart disease and stroke. On this slide, I show the fact that I spent time discussing why we should all be excited about new research in new treatment modalities, new diagnostic opportunities. These are called clinical trials, and as a cardiologist, I'm frequently working to bring patients into clinical trials. So for example, if a patient has a heart condition called congestive heart failure, we're constantly trying to figure out what is the best way to treat this, separate from what we have now. Are there new devices? Are there new medications? And how can we make sure it is safe for patients to take these treatments? This is what is called clinical trials, and it is a very long process, but we have to be very meticulous because if we don't bring in the right patients, the trial will not be successful. Again, this is a big part of what I do with my time, working with patients, but it's also important working with families and working with communities so they can understand why it's important to participate in clinical trials. I want to turn my attention now to something I'm very passionate with and that I referenced earlier. The reason I chose to speak about CGFO, which is the Chief Gregory and Felicia Ofili Foundation work, is because I actually know about this community that we're working with. Ebu in Delta State, Nigeria, happens to be where my family's from. And this is a small rural community. And as you can see here, there are many boys and girls that go to school here. Unfortunately, they do not have they do not have access to some simple things that many people consider to be just normal, such as clean water, such as electricity, and their schools sometimes are not properly equipped. But what I found when I visited first in 2012 was these students are very bright. They really are smart students, and it would be great if they had the opportunity to pursue their dreams. Some of them want to be teachers, some of them want to be nurses, some of them want to be pharmacists, many of them want to be doctors, lawyers, accountants. And so we started with this journey to try to empower girls, especially. Why are we focused on girls? As you'll see later, girls actually, if we empower them, have a chance to be more than leaders in the community. They are the ones, obviously, who also raise children. But as a girl myself, I grew up understanding that if girls have opportunity, they can actually be a big influence in the community. And so not only am I a mother of four now young adults, I am a wife, but I'm also a scientist and I am a physician. So it is possible for girls to learn how to balance life as a mother, as a wife, but also as a member of the community and a scientist contributing great work. And this is why we're focused on girls. But of course, we also give support to boys, and you'll see in a few slides how we do that. You maybe won't be able to see this very well, so I'll just tell you that this is a letter when I first started to visit. Oops, what happened? When I first started to visit this community in Delta State, Nigeria, the Ebu, like I said, the rural community, this young man came up to us and gave us his letter, and it essentially said that he is interested in studying science, but he has not had the opportunity. He is from a very poor family, and he does not have the funds to pay for some of the supplies that's needed to be an active student in this middle and high school. So Emmanuel became a recipient of scholarships. So that's one of the what we do. And you're looking here at other students that have received scholarships from us and their families. So CGFO started out wanting to build a technology hub to help create a pathway for people to communicate and bring resources to this community. But we quickly learned that there are many things that are lacking, such as I said, students not having access to scholarships. So we give scholarships to these students, as you can see, with them and their families. Very grateful for that. Then we also found out that the students don't even have science labs. And so we constructed 5 science labs, including chemistry, biology, physics, home economics labs to help them. The lady you see closest to the picture is the principal of the school at the time. And as you can see, they're the leaders, community leaders from the school. And you're also looking at the commissioner for Delta State, who's responsible for science education in the middle school. And they came in and they commissioned these five science labs. And of course, we're very happy that the students have been using these science labs. And again, this is because of the work of CGFO. CGFO also partners with other major organizations within Nigeria, such as the Nigerian Space Research Development Agency. We find that in addition to obviously having buy-in from the community and the community elders, it's important to connect with other science agencies. So we meet with these individuals to give them an update on what we're doing. We're very focused on bringing science teachers to these small rural communities. As you can imagine, so you're looking at the middle panel to the right here, we were able to help them recruit physics teachers. We have many young people who are participating in the National Youth Service, which is a way that Nigeria brings resources to rural communities. And so these students now have access to good teachers, and we're looking forward to building on this for them as well as other rural communities in Delta State. And this picture is also showing some of the students who are now actively working within the science lab. We work with people on the ground. Our architect, our chief operations officer on the ground are very much involved. This image really is something that I'm very proud of, but also very humbled by. Because of this work, the king, which is called Onu of Ebu Kingdom, awarded CGFO, or I should say honored CGFO and myself to accept the honor of chieftaincy which is a way to say thank you for what you've done, and we look forward to working with you and doing more. And of course, we are very, very proud of that. So how do we do this work? So what you're looking at here is an artist rendition. I am proud that this artist, Chris Pop, is actually my son. And this vision is showing how girls can lead the world. And as you can see, this girl, she is very, very confident in herself. She is very much feeling empowered and knows that with support, she can do a lot for her community as well as the world itself. And so this image here just shows some of the girls that we have engaged with in this community. And of course, at the center of this, I'm proud to say, the legacy of both my parents. They worked hard to make sure all of their children, all 7 children, regardless of whether they were girls or boys, were properly educated. And so for me, this is now giving back to the community that sustained me as I was growing up. You all may not know who this is, but this is Ambassador Andrew Young. He was an ambassador to Africa during the presidency of Mr. Jimmy Carter. Ambassador Young, I'm grateful to say, is alive and very much active with us, and he was one of our early Global Innovator honorees. CGFO honors leaders who are making a difference on the African continent and globally, because we believe these leaders give voice to what needs to be done in these communities. Ambassador Young is shown on this is really through his foundation, continues to be involved with CGFO, and we are proud of this work and honor his role both here in Atlanta, around the globe, and certainly on the African continent. This was our Global Innovator Award last year. We have had this given award since 2016. And some of you who are on the international basketball scene may recognize this guy, Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq, as we call him, was a huge draw for our Innovator Award last year. He is a very kind individual, very supportive of children. He himself grew up supported in the community by the Boys and Girls Club, and he is giving back, and we are grateful that he supports CGFO as an ambassador. And of course, he brings a lot of people to us. And as you can see here, through his signed basketball, he was able to help us generate contribution from everybody you see highlighted here. And the Atlanta City Council proclaimed CGFO last year the award, and we think, of course, it's because Shaquille was part of our celebration. As you can see, others honored here, including Mrs. Young, who is the wife of Ambassador Young. She, in her own right, doing a lot for children in the community and for schools. Somebody else honored here, as you can see to my right, Dr. Felix Shagade. He is also himself a Nigerian cardiologist, but doing a lot of great work here in Macon, Georgia. And in the middle there, one of my really colleagues who's done tremendous work with NASA and the Space Agency, bringing education to sub-Saharan Africa. I also just want to mention my husband in the middle there next to me, and my daughter to the right of Dr. Felix Shagade, and of course the council members that you see pictured. This is the proclamation, and we're proud of it because it says CGFO is doing work that's honored and appreciated by the city of Atlanta. So we're back to this vision. We want to establish a technology hub in Ebu, Delta State, Nigeria. This technology hub will serve students who are interested in pursuing science education. Will also bring students as well as expertise from the United States to the continent of Africa. It is going to be, when fully built and operationalized, it's going to use solar technology, so we can also provide electricity to the community. So back to the reality, this is what we have right now. This is a school, St. Paul's Grammar School. This is their building. As you can see, it is very modest. And for us, it's an opportunity to bring them some infrastructure and advances. What you're looking at here is the laboratory, is the computer laboratory. It has a few computers in the front and obviously desks for the students. Other than that, it is very limited equipment. CGFO in our next fundraiser will will develop a computer lab for these two high schools, the Ibu Grammar School that I showed you earlier and St. Paul's Grammar School, both of them needing this equipment, computers, to power their science labs. And so as I close out here, I just want to share that we are very focused on a lot of partners. We have Eve Robotics Girls Program. It's a little bit small to see, but they are here up here to the right. These are girls, African American girls, who are building robots through the help of CGFO. We sponsor them. We also have Digital Girls Inc., younger girls in New York, Brooklyn, who are really blazing the trail, learning science and being active on the computer. And so CGFO's impact, as shown on this slide, has really been significant. We have a global reach from rural Nigeria to urban Atlanta, Georgia, and New York. We have the expertise, vision, and passion to create lasting change in our regions of impact. And I know many watching or participating are from Africa. And I think there is a lot of work that has to be done in sub-Saharan Africa, as I shared. And we are making impact through this work. We provide full scholarships for girls and boys in rural Nigeria. We're building certified science labs, and we're increasing the numbers of science and mathematics teachers in these rural communities. Our future projects, as I mentioned, we're working on a technology hub that will provide a coding boot camp for rural Nigeria, as well as teacher training for the teachers. Our biggest problem and challenge now is that teachers are not retained in these communities because of the limited infrastructure, no electricity, no running water. And we want to be able to help with these resources so teachers will stay. We are working for the empowerment of women through rural health, microfinancing, and renewable energy for sustainable development. As I said, our partners included Eve Girls, who are using engineering and robotics to bring technology to girls' education. Digital Girls Inc. as well in New York, New York. We also partner with the Delta State of Nigeria, the Ministry of Secondary Education. Those are who have to certify these labs, these computers, when we bring them to the community, and we want them to help scale these resources as we bring them to the community. And then finally, obviously, the space research, the Nigerian Space Research and Development Agency, which is very much involved with technology that helps improve lives, such as solar technology, such as other aspects of space technology that brings electricity, power, and other opportunities to Nigeria. This slide just shows a reason why I do this. Of course, I shared with you that this is based on the vision of my parents, or the legacy of my mom and dad. My dad has since passed on in 2014, but I am glad that my mom is still with us. And many people who knew my dad's work continue to support us as well. And indeed, as I say thank you for this opportunity, I want to really honor my mom. This was on her 84th birthday. I am so glad that she's healthy and doing well, and a big, big ambassador for CGFO. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Elizabeth Ofili, for your wonderful presentation on cardiology. Most importantly, thank you so much for the hard work you have done on CGFO to help the students, especially girls, learn science. I am so inspired by your work. I have a couple of questions, and students, feel free to post in the chat your questions as well. So I'll start with the first question, which is, what got you interested in cardiology?
Thank you so much, Anika. And again, congratulations. This is wonderful. I became interested in cardiology when I saw patients. So this was I was in medical school in my third year. We start going into the wards and we see different patients. And I saw lots of patients with something called mitral valve stenosis, where the valve is so constricted and their body gets filled with fluid. They can't breathe. They go into congestive heart failure. And my attending cardiologist at that time, she said, if we can get this valve replaced, we can essentially cure this person. And I saw several other cases like that. And so it occurred to me that cardiology is a discipline where if you can make a diagnosis early enough, you can bring technology to help people feel better. So I like the fact that you can actually cure people from what's happening to them.
Thank you so much for that answer. Our next question is from Bayu, and they ask, what and how do young girls fall behind in science and technology, and how do we close the gap for women for the mastery of science and technology?
Yes, this is a very good question as well. So really, the reason girls fall back, it starts very early, way before middle school. Sometimes some people think it starts even in grade school. And what happens is, and I experienced that even as I went back to this school in Nigeria that we're working with. So girls are socialized not to speak up. And so a lot of the times in school, when you're in an interactive type of program like science, where you have to do experiments, while girls can do very well when they're on their own, and or even when they're working with other girls, when they're in a mix of boys and girls, they tend to be, some girls are shy and they will not raise their hands even if they know the answer. So some of what we're doing is really encouraging girls, because they do have the right ideas, to encourage them and create an atmosphere where they can feel comfortable to bring those ideas up, and encourage them early on so they will choose science, because science is a discipline that girls really excel at, including engineering, such as yourself, obviously, Anika. And I think one of the things that we have to do is not just encourage girls with words, but encourage them with financial support, including scholarships, including sometimes when girls are growing older and the families don't want them to continue education. Maybe sometimes girls get married off early in some communities. We have to discourage that, because girls should be encouraged to have a full education and go up as much as they can, including university education.
Thank you so much for that answer. Our next question comes from Shinda. What is your motivation to build the Empowering Girls Science Education program?
Yes, thank you so much. Again, I want to go back to, so I was born in Nigeria, and I actually went to school in Nigeria, and it was only after medical school that I came to the United States to go to Johns Hopkins for public health. I always felt that it is important for those of us who have had an opportunity to give back. For me, especially, there was a time during the Nigerian Civil War when my family returned to the Delta State, because I was actually born in northern Nigeria. And there was a civil war, and there was a lot of clash between North and South. And my dad, who at that time worked for the United States government in Nigeria, in northern Nigeria, sent our family back to Delta State, where we're originally from. And there I did a couple of years of education, but I appreciated the fact that they had good schools that I would have been able to continue with. But, my dad wanted us back, and we joined him back right after the war. So I wound up going to school back in northern Nigeria. But I felt that I needed to go back to this rural community, and I saw that a lot of things have gotten worse, a lot more poverty, and even the schools that I had attended were now very dilapidated. And so I really became energized. I said, I, in my role now, have agency. I have access to people who can contribute, but I needed to create that framework. And that's why I founded CGFO with help from a lot of people. My husband, my sisters, a lot of people contributed, my brothers. And now we have this platform where a lot of people are coming. We have had like the CEO of CARE be honored, the founder of Morehouse School of Medicine, Dr. Lou Sullivan, be honored. All of these people want to give back. And so I am excited to continue to do this work. And thank you again for this opportunity to address the larger community of individuals.
Thank you so much once again, Dr. Ofili.
You're welcome.
Since we don't have time for more questions, I'd like to do a final thank you. Once again, you have been such an inspiration to me as well as the audience at this festival. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Anika, and please keep up the great work. I mean, I just cannot believe you are in high school. I cannot believe that. You are amazing. Keep up the great work.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Same to you.
Uh-huh.
Bye.
Bye-bye.